What if I told you that Howie Roseman isn't done yet? What if I told you that even after all the moves, all the roster shakeups, the big cuts and surprise trades, the Eagles general manager still has one more ace up his sleeve? Because when it comes to Howie, the man never sleeps. The offseason is his playground, and right now there's a growing buzz that Philadelphia might be looking to make yet another splash, and this time it could be a major one. Let's set the scene for a second. We're coming off a wild few days in Philly. The Bryce Huff trade, that's official now, just pending a physical with San Francisco. That's the last step. And once that goes through, it's locked in. Huff is a 40 now and for 49er, and in return, the Eagles get a 5th round pick in the 2025 NFL draft. But here's where it gets interesting. That pick could turn into a 4th rounder, depending on Huff's snap count and performance out west. It's one of those performance-based conditions, the kind that Howie loves to sneak into deals, always looking for extra value. On top of the draft compensation, the Eagles are also freeing up a little over $2.4 million in cap space for next season, plus nearly $8 million in raw cash. That's real financial flexibility, the kind that lets you maneuver mid-season, make another move at the deadline, or in this case, maybe go out and get another pass rusher. But hold up, that's not the only cap-saving move Philly made. You also had the post-June 1st designations on guys like Darius Slay and James Bradbury, which just became official. Those post-June 1st cuts opened up even more room, to the tune of $6.4 million. So if you're doing the math, that's almost $9 million in fresh cap space added in the last few weeks. And when you look across the league, the Eagles now sit right in the middle in terms of available money. $25.5 million. That might not sound like a ton, but in NFL terms, that's enough to go shopping, especially when you've already handled most of your core contracts and set your roster for training camp. Now, let's talk about the real issue. The outside linebacker and edge rusher spots. They're deep, sure, but they're also fragile. There's a lot of upside, but also a ton of uncertainty. Nolan Smith, for example, he made a big leap in year 2. Went from just 1 sack as a rookie to 6.5 in his 2nd season, and then absolutely went off in the playoffs with 4 more sacks, leading the entire league during that stretch. That's the kind of growth you love to see. You want him to make that 3rd year jump and become the guy. But there are concerns. His health, for one. He had shoulder surgery after his rookie year, then tore his triceps in the Super Bowl. He's back on the field now wearing a brace, looking solid, but 2 surgeries in 2 seasons? That's a red flag. And then there's Jalen Hunt. This kid really flashed last year. Quietly became one of the Eagles' most promising young defenders. Defensive coordinator Vic Fangio even said it straight up. When Bryce Huff hurt his hand and had to play with a cast, it took an arm away from him, literally. And that opened the door for Hunt and Smith to get more snaps. And they took full advantage. The coaches saw it. The front office saw it. Now the hope is that Hunt can take that next step from raw rookie to reliable contributor. But again, it's all hope right now. Nothing is guaranteed. The Eagles also brought in Azeez Ojulari, formerly of the Giants, on a pretty low-risk deal. This is a guy who's got the tools. In 46 career games and 30 starts, he's racked up 22 sacks. That's nothing to scoff at. He's explosive, he's bendy, and when healthy, he can get to the quarterback. But that when healthy part is doing a lot of heavy lifting. He's missed time every season, dealing with soft tissue stuff, lower body injuries, the kind of nagging problems that always seem to pop back up when you least expect it. Then you've got Josh Uche, who had that monster 11.5 sack season back in 2022 under Bill Belichick. That version of Uche was unstoppable, fast off the line, relentless motor just blowing past tackles. But since then, just 7 sacks combined. The production is dipped. The pressure rate is still good, which suggests he's doing his job. But he's not finishing plays. And in this league, pressures are great, but sacks win games. So now you're looking at a rotation that includes Nolan Smith, Jalen Hunt, Josh Uche, and Azeez Ojulari. That's your core forward edge right now. And if everyone stays healthy and takes a step forward, that could be one of the best young units in the league. But if even one of those guys falters or worse gets hurt, then you're in trouble. there's no veteran presence, no fallback option. And when you play in a division with Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb or Daniel Jones scrambling around or whatever Washington throws at you, you need to get to the quarterback consistently. You need depth. You need reliability. And right now, there's a whole lot of if in that group. That's why people are starting to connect the dots to a bigger move. One name in particular that's been floating around, Trayvon Walker. Yeah, the former #1 overall pick out of Georgia. That guy. And here's the thing. It actually makes a ton of sense. First of all, Walker is still only 24 years old. He turns 25 in December. He's got elite traits. I mean, we're talking freak level athleticism. He's long, he's strong, he's fast, and he's versatile enough to play in any scheme. He can rush from the edge, line up inside, drop into coverage. He can do it all. And the production is finally catching up to the potential. In his rookie season, he had 3.5 sacks, 10 quarterback hits, 5 tackles for loss. Solid, but not spectacular. Then in year 2, he doubled nearly every number. 10 sacks, 19 hits, 10 TFLs. And in year 3, just last season, he added another 10.5 sacks and 13 tackles for loss. That's a consistent upward trend. He's getting better every single year. Not plateauing, not disappearing, steady, tangible improvement. Analytically, the picture is strong too. His Pro Football Focus grades put him in the high 60s across the board. Overall grade of 68.2. Pass rush grade at 65.1. Run defense at 69.2. Those numbers might not blow you away, but they show a player who's steadily developing, not just relying on athleticism. He's learning. He's refining, and with a coach like Vic Fangio in his ear, that's a scary combination. There's also the Georgia factor. Let's not overlook that. The Eagles have become the NFL's unofficial Georgia alumni team. They love their Bulldogs. They've drafted Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Kaylee Ringo, and signed Louis Cine. All of them come from that legendary 2021 Georgia defense that dominated college football. And guess who was the starting edge rusher on that team? Trayvon Walker. It's not just a cute connection. It's chemistry. It's familiarity. And it's a big reason why Howie might be willing to pull the trigger. Because at the end of the day, this front office values cohesion. They want players who already know each other, who've played together at a high level. And if you bring Walker into this defensive front, lining up next to Davis and Carter with Nolan Smith flying off the edge, you're recreating a college unit that was already elite, only now it's stronger, older, and playing at the professional level. It's not just about stats and talent. It's about identity. It's about building something sustainable. And if you ask anyone around the league, they'll tell you when a defensive line has chemistry and continuity, it plays faster, it plays smarter, it communicates better, and it doesn't break down late in the season. That's what the Eagles lacked last year. Down the stretch, the pass rush vanished. They went from one of the top sack teams in the first half of the year to bottom 5 in the final stretch. They couldn't close games. They couldn't get off the field. That's why guys like Josh Sweat and Milton Williams were let go. That's why Huff was traded. The team needed to hit the reset button. They needed new blood, and not just any blood. Young, high-ceiling, cost-controlled players who can grow with the core. That brings us right back to Trayvon Walker. Because not only does he check every box from a football standpoint, he also fits the financial model. Jacksonville recently exercised his 5th-year option, meaning he's under contract for 2025, but they haven't extended him beyond that. And the reality is they might not be able to. They've got big money players on both sides of the ball, and Lawrence's payday is coming fast. So if Philly offers a couple of picks, say a 3rd and a 5th, maybe tossing a young backup or rotational piece, that might be enough to get a deal done. And let's be clear, this wouldn't be some desperate reach. This would be a strategic, calculated move to bolster a position that is already good but could be great. That's how contenders stay contenders. They don't wait until the wheels fall off to make changes. They act while the engine is still running. Now let's dig even deeper into why Trayvon Walker could be the ideal fit for Philadelphia. Not just as a player, but as a future cornerstone on this defense. Because this isn't about plugging a hole with a short-term veteran. This is about building a long-term core around players who are still ascending, still improving, and still hungry to make their mark in the league. That's what separates good teams from great ones. They don't just chase names, they chase potential, and they bring it into the right environment to let it explode. Trayvon Walker represents that exact kind of opportunity. He has already shown durability, which is a huge deal considering the physical toll that playing on the defensive line takes in today's NFL. He played every game last season. Not many edge rushers can say that. And when you consider the number of pass rush snaps he logged, 555, the second most in the league, that durability becomes even more impressive. He wasn't just out there as a rotational guy. He was a full-time workhorse. That matters. You need guys who can go the distance in December, not just make noise in September. Let's talk athletic ceiling. This is a player who tested off the charts in the pre-draft process. His relative athletic score, or RAS, was a near-perfect 9.99. He's 6'5", 272 pounds, and he ran a 4.51 40-yard dash. His vertical was over 35 inches. His broad jump cleared 10 feet. He crushed the agility drills, the short shuttle, the 3-cone, the 10-yard split. Every metric said the same thing. This guy is an alien, a different breed. That kind of physical profile combined with 3 straight years of on-field improvement is exactly what Howie Roseman and the Eagles front office look for when making big moves. They don't just look at what a player is right now. They look at what he could be with the right coaching and the right teammates, and Trayvon Walker could become a nightmare for offenses if placed in the right scheme next to the right supporting cast. And the Eagles have that cast. They already have Jalen Carter, who is developing into one of the most disruptive defensive tackles in the game. They have Jordan Davis, a massive presence who eats up double teams and forces offenses to change their run schemes. You put Trayvon Walker next to those two, and suddenly you've got a front that can crush the pocket from every angle. You can't double all three. Someone's going to win a one-on-one, and when that happens, quarterbacks don't stand a chance. That's how you flip games. That's how you take pressure off your secondary. That's how you turn close games into blowouts. And make no mistake, the Eagles are thinking about January. They've been through enough heartbreaks now. The sting of falling short after leading the NFC for most of the season, the collapse down, the stretch, the defensive breakdowns, all of it is fresh in their minds. They know the window to win is still open, but it won't be forever. They have Jalen Hurts locked in, Devonta Smith locked in, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata. The offensive core is secured. Now it's about balancing. That by locking in a defensive core that can dominate for years to come, this is where the 2026 draft picks become so important. The Eagles aren't just sitting on those selections for fun. They have their own first and second. They've got 3 third-round picks, one from the Jets, their own, and a projected compensatory pick for Milton Williams. 2 fourths, their own, and one from losing Josh Sweat. A 5th rounder that came in the Huff trade, which could become a 4th. Then extra picks from Atlanta and Houston in the 5th, their own 5th, a projected compensatory 5th from the departure of Mekhi Becton, and their own 7th. That's a loaded war chest. That's flexibility. That's exactly the kind of draft capital you use when a young, former number 1 overall pick becomes available. And it's not just about the volume of picks, it's about where those picks land. The Eagles are projected to have several selections inside the top 100. Those are premium slots. That's where you find impact players, not just backups. And if you're not planning to use all of those picks to draft rookies, you better be using them to get proven young talent. Trayvon Walker is 24. He has 3 years of NFL experience. He's on a manageable rookie deal. That's the exact definition of a proven young talent. Now, of course, if you're going to trade for a player like this, you also have to think about the long-term financials. The Jaguars exercised his 5th-year option, so his 2026 salary is already locked in. After that, it's extension time. But here's the good news. Walker isn't going to command Myles Garrett money. He probably won't get the kind of deal that Trey Hendrickson is expected to land either. And he's definitely not touching Micah Parsons territory. Those guys are putting up all-pro numbers year after year. Walker's market, if he keeps progressing, will be in the 30 to 35 million per year range. And while that's still a significant chunk of cash, it's manageable, especially when you've already structured your books to handle big extensions. That's why the Eagles let go of so many veterans this offseason. They weren't just cutting fat. They were clearing space strategically. Howie Roseman is thinking 2, 3, even 4 years ahead. He knows that Jalen Carter is going to need a new deal. He knows that if Nolan Smith takes off, he'll eventually need one too. And if you can get Walker in now at 24 and develop him alongside those guys, you're creating a long-term trio that could anchor your defense into the 2030s. That's how dynasties are built. And don't forget, this front office is obsessed with traits. Athleticism, explosiveness, character, work ethic, they track it all. And Trayvon Walker hits on every one of those. He was a captain at Georgia. He's never had off-field issues. He's known as a worker, someone who takes coaching, someone who plays through pain. That's the type of culture fit they look for. And when you combine that with familiarity with Davis, Carter, Smith, Ringo, Dean, it makes the transition even easier. He'd walk into that locker room and instantly feel at home. Now some might say, why take the risk? Why not roll with what you've got and see if the current group can step up? And look, that's not a bad plan. If Nolan Smith continues to ascend, if Jalen Hunt breaks out, if Uche and Ojulari stay healthy and produce, then sure, you could be set. But how often does everything go perfectly in the NFL? You plan for success, but you prepare for adversity. That's why teams like the Eagles are always contenders. They don't just hope things go right. They build insurance policies. And Trayvon Walker would be one hell of an insurance policy. Let's say they do pull the trigger. What does that mean for the defense? It means Vic Fangio suddenly has the most versatile, athletic front in the conference. It means offenses have to account for pressure from every angle, every down. It means your linebackers get cleaner reads, your corners get shorter coverage windows. Your safeties get to play freer. That's the ripple effect. One move up front can change everything. And for a defense that collapsed down the stretch last year, it might be exactly what they need. And remember, the Eagles aren't just playing for division titles. They're chasing rings. They tasted that Super Bowl. They came heartbreakingly close. And now they're trying to get back, but this time with more staying power. Not a flash-in-the-pan team. A team that can compete deep into the playoffs for years. That starts in the trenches. And that's why a move for Trayvon Walker could be the final chess piece. Now, there's no guarantee Jacksonville wants to deal him. Maybe they view him as untouchable. Maybe they think he's part of their core. But maybe, just maybe, they're willing to listen. Especially if they get an offer that helps them now and in the future. That's where Howie comes in. Because if there's one thing this man knows how to do, it's structure a deal that works for both sides. And when he smells opportunity, he moves fast. So now the ball is in Philadelphia's court. Do they sit back and wait? Or do they make the move that could define the next 5 years of their defense? History says they won't sit still. History says Howie's cooking something. And if Trayvon Walker walks into the NovaCare complex wearing midnight green, don't say we didn't see it coming. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our Philadelphia Eagles. And don't be shy. Share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In what could be one of the most surprising developments of the offseason, rumors are swirling around the Philadelphia Eagles following reports that head coach Nick Sirianni has taken the drastic step of expelling offensive tackle Jordan Mailata from the team. While no official statement has been released by the organization, multiple sources close to the situation suggest that a recent controversial incident involving Mailata may have prompted Sirianni's decisive action, according to whispers emerging. From the Eagles training facility, tensions between Sirianni and Mailata have been simmering for weeks, allegedly culminating in a heated confrontation that ultimately led to the coach's decision. Some insiders claim that Mailata's attitude during team meetings and practices had been a source of frustration, while others insist that the issue was sparked by a singular, polarizing event that has yet to be fully disclosed to the public. Though, the exact details remain shrouded in mystery. The potential fallout from Mailata's reported expulsion is already sending shockwaves through the NFL community. Mailata, a former rugby player turned NFL star, has been a cornerstone of the Eagles' offensive line and a fan favorite for his physical prowess and compelling personal story. His sudden and unexpected departure would not only leave a significant gap on the field, but also raise serious questions about the team's internal dynamics and leadership structure under Sirianni. Around the league, speculation is mounting about what this means for both the player and the franchise. Could Mailata find himself quickly picked up by another team eager to bolster their offensive line, or is this rumored expulsion a negotiating tactic, a way to send a message, or perhaps an exaggerated account of a more minor disciplinary measure for? Now, all that is certain is the growing buzz around the Eagles camp and the uncertainty that looms over one of the team's most prominent figures. As the story continues to unfold, fans and analysts alike will be watching closely for any official confirmation or clarification. Until then, the possibility of Jordan Mailata's exit remains a captivating and controversial subplot in the ever-dramatic landscape of the NFL offseason. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Philadelphia Eagles, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.